Welcome. Please take your seats. Thank you all for being here tonight. Welcome to the September 28th, 2023 meeting of the Dickson County School Board. If you will, please join us for a moment of silence. Thank you. Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Sorrells.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we have members of Centennial Elementary School here with us to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. And these students, along with others, know the flag, know it well. They raise it every morning and take it down every evening. And we certainly appreciate not only their leadership there, but their responsibility that goes along with that. Ms. Logan, when I asked what makes Centennial Elementary the school that it is, the first answer I got was the teachers. The teachers who make learning fun. And why they even give administration credit for having fun. That's good. And we certainly appreciate that. And it's not hidden that Centennial Elementary School was one of our level 5 schools. And students like this and teachers that work with students are the ones that get the credit for the level 5, the best that it can be. Let me introduce to you tonight Mr. Derek White. Thank you for being with us, Derek. Miss Alaska Alexander, Walker Gilbert, and Duke Franklin. How about a round of applause? Thank you. Good job.
Thank you, students. Thank you for your service. Thank you for what you do. All right. Family members, you're welcome to stay or you can leave. It's whatever's best. So thank you all. Thank you. So board members, next on what we have is the board elections, and I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Weeks to conduct those.
Board members, as you know, we have 3 officers. We have the officer of chairman or chairperson. We have the office of vice chair or vice chairman, vice chairperson. We have the office of Tennessee Legislative Network representative. We would now open the floor for the positions of chair of the board.
I'd like to nominate our vice chair.
Ms. Brogdon has been nominated. Is there a second to that nomination? Second to that nomination. Are there other nominations for chair? Are there other nominations for chair?
Open up and entertain a motion.
Yes.
Motion to cease all other nominations and elect Ms. Sonia Brogdon by reason of acclamation.
It is appropriate that we receive a recommendation for Ms. Brogdon to receive that position, be selected to that position by acclamation. Is there a second to that motion? Oh, and if you are in favor of that, I would ask, we'll do that by voice vote. If you would please say aye if you're in favor of that vote.
Aye.
And if anyone's opposed, congratulations, Ms. Brogdon. You will serve as chair of Dickson County Board of Education 2023-24 school year. Would you like me to continue or would you like to take over? For the position of vice chair, would be opening the floor for nominations for vice chair.
I wonder would it be interesting.
We have a nomination for Joe Underwood for vice chair of the Board of Education. Are there other is there a second? I think Mr. Chadwick second. Are there other nominations for vice chair?
I'd like to make a motion to cease all other nominations and elect Mr. Joe Underwood for reasons of acclamation.
There's a motion for nominations to cease and to select Mr. Underwood by acclamation. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
There's a second. If you're in favor of that motion, would you please state aye?
Aye.
Are those opposed? Congratulations, Mr. Underwood. You will serve as vice chair of the board for 23-24. And our position in Tennessee Legislative Network, this is our liaison with TSBA directly and help to keep the board and the administration informed of legislative issues. Would open the floor for the position of TLN representative.
Nomination for Mr. Philip Chadwick.
Mr. Chadwick's been nominated second. Thank you. Any other nominations for that position? Are there any motions related to that?
Make a motion to cease all other nominations and elect Mr. Chadwick by reason of acclamation.
Is there a second to that motion? Thank you. Motion is to elect Mr. Chadwick to the position of TLN representative by acclamation. If you're in favor of that, if you would please state aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Congratulations, Mr. Chadwick, for serving as 23-24 TLN network representative. We will place those in the minutes and we will report those to TSBA. Start business tomorrow. Congratulations to each one of you. We look forward to working with you. Ms. Brockton, we would turn the chair over to you then, please, if we're on item 1E.
1D, did we have anyone sign up for public comment?
Dr. Johnson, anyone sign up for public comment on actionable items this evening? None this evening. Thank you.
Next item is 1E, approval of the agenda. Are there any?
I'd like to move to amend the agenda, and I'd like to add 2 items to it. One, I'd like to add discuss the possible vote on hiring a consultant for the director position. And second, I'd like to add discussion and optional vote for interim position. I think probably already the agenda is better. That to see that done, but it's really
Second that motion.
And a second, any other comments?
Let's add item 4F for the director of school search process or search consultants. Mr. Haley, you indicated you'd like to add the interim director earlier in the.
it's okay in that position also.
Let's add that to item 4G, an interim director of school. Item 4F, director of schools consultant / search. And item 4G, an interim director of schools. We do have a motion and a second for those.
Discussion? Have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Vandervert,
Yes.
Ms. Brogdon,
Yes.
Mr. Haley,
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick,
Yes.
Mr. Underwood,
Yes.
Mr. Parker.
Yes.
All ayes.
Next on the agenda is approval of the minutes from the previous meeting.
Board members, the agenda is from the previous meeting, not our most recent from last week, but our previous regular board meeting from August are pages 2 through 6 in your packets. You should have received those and had opportunity to review those.
Mr. Chair, I would make a motion to approve.
Second motion.
Motion and second, any other discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Vandervert,
Yes.
Ms. Brogdon,
Yes.
Mr. Haley,
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick,
Yes.
Mr. Underwood,
Yes.
Mr. Parker.
Yep.
All ayes.
Next on the agenda is school recognition.
Board members, during our September board meeting, we usually recognize schools that have received outstanding designations by the state of Tennessee. We'd ask Dr. Mary Collins if she would come to the front and help me present certificates, please. The following schools, and again, we've had wonderful success at receiving level 5 school designations. I would remind you that level 5 schools are those schools which their students have outperformed other schools in the state of Tennessee by pushing or by showing growth amongst the students. That is both an effort from the school principals, the school administration, the school teachers, as well as the students in those schools. We had an opportunity. These schools were released to us early in the month, and we celebrated with each one of these schools by carrying a large cake and making several announcements in their schools. We're very proud of them and the work that they do. We are also proud of all of our schools. We had several schools to earn accomplishments, but these schools are recognized by the state of Tennessee. We would like to recognize those. From Centennial Elementary School, Principal Erica Logan is here. From Charlotte Elementary School, Principal Sarah Cunningham is here. From Dickson Elementary School, Principal Dr. Nick Brown is here. From Stuart Burns Elementary School, Principal Melinda Fortner is here. From White Bluff Elementary School, Principal Leslie Christie is here. And from William James Middle School, Principal Jan Ford is here. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your hard work. Please share our appreciation to your staff on behalf of the board and on behalf of the administration. Again, the appreciation we have for the work that each of you have done. Thank you. I would ask that at this time we also have employees of the quarter. And so the employee of the quarter from School Nutrition, Mr. Troy Williams, if you would bring to the front with you Miss Connie White. Connie's employees and administration say Connie works at the cafeteria at Dickson County High School. She's a manager and has some health and had some health issues. The manager had some health issues, which made her miss some work. So Connie stepped in and filled in for the manager. She enjoys her job very much and enjoys serving kids on a daily basis, is a very hard worker and does whatever it takes to make sure that all of our students receive a quality meal and that the kitchen functions efficiently. She's a true ambassador for Dickson County Schools, Dickson County High School, and our school nutrition program. Thank you, Connie, for your work and what you do. Mr. Clifton, if you would come and if you would bring with you Mr. Derek Hickman. Derek is the maintenance employee of the quarter. Derek started his career at Dickson County Schools during the 22 school year. Derek often stops to help others in need at whatever job that they're doing outside of maintenance. Derek's interest is anything that has anything to do with football. Derek is presently working at Stuart Burns and Burns Middle School, where he made an impression with the principals on each of those campuses. And one of the principals made the statement that he is one of the most polite people and is always helpful to everyone and anyone who needs that assistance. Derek, we appreciate the work you do. And Ms. Melissa Garton, if you would come forth along with Mr. Johnny Krantz. Mr. Johnny has been a bus driver for, Mr. Johnny, do you want to mention that?
This is 44 years.
44 years. Mr. Johnny was a teacher for 35 years at both White Bluff and William James. He's been a mentor to several drivers and is always willing to help out in the department any way he can. He's transported several generations from the White Bluff area. I see him regularly as I come to work, and we wave at him often. He's got a great relationship with fellow drivers and students, and he does a wonderful job. Mr. Johnny, we sure appreciate you. And last but not least, Dr. Faulkner, could I have your assistance, please? During the September meeting, and maybe we need to consider moving that because I think we always conflict with some of our fall sports. But we'd like to recognize the coaches, which make such an impact on the students that they work with each day. We are very fortunate in Dickson County to have several athletic coaches that are extremely interested not only in their sports, but they're interested in developing young men and young women, and we appreciate the work that they do. These coaches have won at an extremely high level above their district or above their region, and we're thankful for all of our coaches. But again, we like to bring to you and present and share with you the names of those coaches which have accomplished above what is just the normal season, the normal expectation. We would first of all recognize Coach Jeremy Baker from Creekwood High School. And we would remind you that Jeremy is a district winner, a regional winner, sectional winner, and state tournaments from Creekwood High School. And it just so happens Coach Baker is coaching this evening. So we thank him for doing that. From Dickson County High School, Miss Jacqueline Clements. Jacqueline is also a volleyball coach. And I believe tonight she is coaching against Coach Baker as they are competing in their last regular home game. So congratulations to them. Mr. Jay Pallas is our athletic director, but also serves as the Dickson County High School golf coach. And last year, he won the district tournament, placed in the region tournament, and had a golf team appear in the state tournament for the first time. So we congratulate Mr. Pallas. Miss Cassie Wright is here from Creekwood High School. Cassie is a district, regional, sub-state, and state tournament appearance with her bowling team. She's done a wonderful job there, and again, it means a lot to those individuals and the jobs that they do. Thank you, Cassie, for being here. You're welcome to stay. Also from Creekwood High School, Charles Taylor is here. Charles is another name and another face. Charles does a great job with the boys basketball team at Creekwood High School, and again, you're going to see both of these individuals have been with us for several years for their accomplishments.
There we go.
Thank you, guys. Last year, we had a sudden change in the boys basketball position at Dickson County High School, and Athletic Director Jay Pallas stepped into that role and actually did a wonderful job coaching the boys basketball team. They had a district and regional appearances in boys basketball. From Dickson County High School, Miss Erin Webb, girls basketball coach. She had a district and regional appearance for the girls basketball. And from Creekwood High School, Mr. Russell Wilson, Creekwood High School girls basketball coach. They also had a district appearance. So thank you, Dr. Faulkner, for your assistance, and thank you to all those coaches. Board members, I mentioned earlier that our student board representatives, again, we recognize schools, we recognize employees, coaches, and our student board representatives. We are very fortunate to have two students who are involved in the firm that they are working in. And so both Heath and Miss Pitney are both participating in athletic events this evening. But Scott, I do believe we have videos from each of those. Is that correct? There we go.
Hello. I'm thrilled to be back for Red Hawk happenings. At Creekwood, we have been very busy as we are wrapping up Q1. Starting with academics, seniors have been finishing up ACT preparation as the senior retake day is swiftly coming up after break. The past few weeks, underclassmen have been undergoing state benchmark exams in regular tested subjects. Further, clinical internship students have reported to their designated sites, completed health screenings at Charlotte Elementary, and have toured health facilities such as DMA, TCAT, and HMC. Creekwood hosted a college and career fair September 21st for seniors to gather information regarding future opportunities. In addition, September is College Application Month, meaning many seniors have been applying to in-state institutions free of charge. Many fall sports have been wrapping up their seasons at the Wood. Volleyball has its JV district tournament on Saturday at Cheatham County Central High School. The varsity squad will host the district semifinals and finals next week. Girls soccer will compete in its district tournament at Fairview over fall break. 3 girls and 3 boys on the golf team will travel to Swan Lake in Clarksville to participate in the region tournament this coming Monday. Tennis tryouts have been this week, and cross country has been in action, with many athletes surpassing their personal records. Creekwood's bowling team is currently 2-0. The football team recorded their first home and away win, securing a 2-2 record in September. Cheer and dance both had a booth at the Charlotte Festival and were involved in the parade. The Creekwood Fishing Club competed at Pickwick Lake last Sunday in a tournament with 88 high school teams. Congratulations to Mila McElwain and Landon Lewis for placing second. Diving into clubs, Beta Club has held their first official meeting where they discussed fundraising and gearing up for state convention and competitions in November. Our FFA Club will be hosting a cookout shortly and kicking off a Hams and Jams fundraiser. Creekwood's Performing Arts Department successfully performed their new show, Radium Girls, selling out multiple nights. HOSA has been very busy as well. They have hosted a blood drive and held the annual HOSA picnic. Now they are preparing for HOSA Week, which is coming up. New student government members will travel to Buckner Park tomorrow for team bonding and a ropes course. Lastly, our Jobs for American Graduate students are sponsoring a school and community-wide event on October 26th called The Harvest on the Hill. Students, along with faculty and staff, are preparing for Homecoming Week, which is October 15th through the 20th. Our theme this year is Disney World Parks. Penny Wars, voting on attendance, and selling class shirts have all been conducted in preparation for that week. Our King and Queen are Alex Bradshaw and Natalie Bucher. The parade will be held in Charlotte this year, starting at 1 p.m. with kickoff against Greenbrier at 7. With all of that being said, we are excited to rest up on fall break and come back ready for a week full of festivities and the start of a new quarter. Let's go Red Hawks. Thank you.
Good evening, school board members. I apologize for being unable to attend tonight, as I'm away for our last regular season soccer game. So much has happened on the Hill since we last met. We finished our fundraiser at the beginning of this month with a grand total of $45,798, and then seniors taking first place bringing in the most money. The DCHS 2020 homecoming commenced this month, and Cougar spirit was greater than ever. Students, staff, and parents spent the week rolling balls for floats, practicing dances for skits, and working on their chants for the pep rally. In competitions, juniors came in first for float design and skit, sophomores came in first for t-shirt design, and seniors came in first for the pep rally and fundraiser, which was a larger part of scoring this year. Overall, seniors took the trophy with the homecoming win. In sports, our Lady Cougars volleyball team is bringing their season to a close. The Lady Cougars have a 6-12 record. They had their senior night this week on Tuesday versus Clarksville to celebrate their 5 seniors. Tonight, the volleyball team hosts Creekwood at home for their last game before district tournament. The Cougar cross-country team had a successful trip to Cincinnati, Ohio. Aside from their race in Loveland, Ohio, the team enjoyed the Cincinnati Zoo, the Fowling Warehouse, an activity that combines both bowling and football, the Great Wolf Lodge water park, and a Cincinnati Reds baseball game. The team has also competed in another classic at the Hermitage and have a home meet tonight at Buckner where they will be recognizing their seniors. The golf team is also drawing their season to a close. They celebrated 8 seniors last Wednesday in their match against Kirkwood. They placed second in the district tournament Monday and will play in regionals next week. The DC cheer team hosted the 2nd annual Cougar Classic golf fundraiser to raise money for various expenses throughout the year. I spoke to several senior cheerleaders, and they all agreed there was a good turnout with lots of participation from the community, students, and even faculty. Football is in the full swing of games with a 3-3 record. The football team won our homecoming game 42-12 against Kirkwood. We even had a special guest at our homecoming game. Governor Billy came out for the game and even participated in the coin toss. October 27th, cheer, football, and band will have their senior night. This Friday, the Cougars play at Rossview. The band competed at the Eagle Marching Invitational at Northeast High School on Saturday. Band took home first place percussion and third place band overall. They will compete in Portland at Bandapalooza this Saturday. This will also be Mr. Henson's last band competition of his 37-year career. The Lady Cougar soccer team has an 11-2 record so far this season. Tuesday, the Lady Cougars celebrated 8 seniors before their game against Cheatham County, which we won. Tonight is our last regular season away game, and so I'm at Columbia High School. The Lady Cougar soccer team will go into the district tournament as the #1 seed and will play the first district game the first Tuesday of fall break. With busy schedules, students and teachers are super excited for fall break and the upcoming second quarter. Thank you, and I will see you all at the next meeting.
On our agenda is staff reports finance.
Board members, items 3B1, beginning on page 10 in your packets. This is our first month of the new fiscal year through August 31st. You see, that's usually the most unexciting report that we probably produce all year long. Revenues to that date had included $7.6 million and expenditures at $11.4 million. We'd received no property tax during the months of July and August. Sales taxes came in at $1.7 million. Expenditures at $425,000 for utilities, $54,000 in diesel, and $18,000 in gasoline. On pages 11 through 14, you see detailed reports from each one of the individual categories and major category line items. All of those, again, with the exception of a few places that we pay large expenses up front, such as contracts for the year and things of that nature, are within budget and where they need to be at that time of the year. Fund 142, your federal funds, begins on page 15, 16, and 17. And again, those are dollars that flow to us from federal government, through the federal government, through our school system, into those various federal programs. And school fund category 143 begins on page 18, and you will see that inclusive there. Behind that, you'll see the July reports again, which are cumulative through the reports that we just read through. So again, we would be glad to present both the July and August reports for you. The greatest summary to where we are as of today is on page 10 for you with that summary. $7 million in revenues, $11 million in expenditures.
Any questions? Motion approved. We have second. Second, Mr. Parker. Any other questions? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Vanderburg,
Yes.
Ms. Brogdon,
Yes.
Mr. Haley,
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick,
Yes.
Mr. Underwood,
Yes.
Mr. Parker.
Yes.
All ayes.
Board members, item 3C in your packet, 3C1 is a water treatment contract that Mr. Clifton is requesting that we move to a group called Chem Aqua to help maintain our water systems that provide the water flow through system of our HVAC systems. You'll see highlighted on page 28, this is a TIPS contract, and you'll see the details of that contract on page 30 of the agreements that are included in the pricing. And that total cost $51,650, 51650 is the maintenance on those systems. And Mr. Clifton is here if you have specific questions about that contract.
Question.
Mr. Clifton, the question was who currently provides that service to us?
Make a motion to approve.
Second by Mr. Parker. Any other questions? Is this already in budget?
Yes, ma'am. This is a budgeted item. Again, we seek to upgrade the contract that we've had. We get a little better service from this group, and we vetted them a little more closely, and I feel comfortable with this recommendation.
We use this. Okay.
Good.
Any other questions? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Vanderburg,
Yes.
Ms. Brogdon,
Yes.
Mr. Haley,
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick,
Yes.
Mr. Underwood,
Yes.
Mr. Parker.
Yes.
All ayes.
Next, we have facility planning.
Board members, at our special session last week, you had asked that I proceed in taking a look at the document that we were working from at our last meeting, the panels, so that we would continue our strategic building plan or our facility plan to prepare for our meeting in advance with county commissioners on October the 16th. At that time, it was my understanding that you had asked that we include 20 classrooms at the Charlotte Middle School project, and that we receive prices from Hewlett Spencer and or Lyle Cook Martin on new HVAC system on the existing Charlotte Middle School and a new roofing system at Charlotte Middle School. I think the intent was that facility to be made as new as possible, since we are working on that and spending so many dollars in that older facility so that the new and the old seem to mesh better. So Jamie Spencer is here tonight with several of our consultants they're here with that team. And we'd like to welcome Mr. Tim Little from OLG, Brad Martin, Ron Bargatze, and Jeff Corlew. So we have the whole team here tonight. Thank you guys for coming in and working with us. And so, Jamie, I think you have, let's focus on Charlotte Middle School up front, please, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Director. Got a flip drive in here and start off. Congratulations, Madam Chairman, on your election tonight as well. Okay, in front of you, you have two sheets that are basically follow-ups from the last time we met, and we gave this board a budget on Charlotte Middle School. At that time, we were also giving you budgets, Dickson Elementary, if you recall. Tonight, you're going to see that revised budget sheet based on the request of the board. There are two things you're going to see on this sheet that we were asked to provide that we've updated since the last time we presented the budget. If this board will remember, Mr. Tyler Powell, who is with Bell Construction, who is kind of our project manager over this and knows these schools very well. If you remember, he had a statement about providing the full HVAC replacement. And he was really, it's something that is hard for us to do because the scope that could be involved in adding a full HVAC replacement is one that takes extensive study to know what all is included in it. Because not only do you have to figure out what you're going to do with all the ductwork and all the systems that are currently above the ceiling in the 60,000 square foot school, you got to make decisions on, do you put back ceiling tile and new grid? And then at that point, you have to replace the lighting in the whole school. And there's penetrations in exterior walls that you have to do. There's just a whole lot to go into a project like that. And we didn't have any documents. We didn't have any, direction from the engineer who is here tonight. Dr. Weeks introduced Mr. Tim Little, our good friend with OLG Engineering. He does handle the MP&E engineering for Dickson County. He is here and can provide the most professional comments on this scope of work because this is what he does every single day. And he'll be the one and his team to draw the plans and specs for this. But if you look on your sheet, this is a big job to ask to give a budget number, and it is a conservative number. You've heard me say that before. Another way of putting that is it's kind of a worst case scenario number. That's a plain and simple way to put it. But you can see all the numbers going down through there, and the HVAC replacement has been added right here in a line item, and it's a $7.2 million budget to replace that HVAC in that entire. And again, it's not just the replacement of the HVAC. There are so many other things that have to happen when you do a project like that. So that number came in last night, and we actually have backup on the second sheet. You can see the backup from that. We have a really good relationship with an HVAC company that we really sort of called in a favor to get something done in this quick a time. We gave them a lot of narration on what the project would be like. It's a lot like the full HVAC replacement we did at Oakmont. If this board can remember that was a full and total and utter. I mean, we had to get rid of all the ductwork. We replaced this is a similar project like we did at Oakmont. So we've got that number as a budget placeholder that adds to the cost of that project. And then the other thing you made sure we did was down here, you've got the roof replacement. That number, I think, might have been in the last time we did. That's a $2.17 to replace the whole $2.170 million to replace that roof. That's the budget for that. And then below that, you'll see a $342,000 number. That is basically to replace all the lighting at Charlotte Middle. Once we rip out all the roof and all the ceiling tile and the HVAC replacement, you're not going to go back with the old existing lighting at that time. You're just not going to do that. So that's a number to add the new LED lighting to Charlotte Middle School. And basically that took the total budget from where we were to now the project in its entirety is a range at the low range of 34 million and a high range of 35 million. And that includes everything that we went over the last time I presented to the board with the 2 additions that the board asked us to provide. So that's the update on Charlotte Middle School. And we've got a team of folks here. If you've got any questions, we're happy to try to answer them at this time.
Questions?
The building, if you're gonna, again, Adam, if you're gonna do the addition, you've got to make the rest of the building have a life expectancy. Like, see about the same building.
Yes.
That's kind of the goal we did with it. Yes, sir. And I know it's been a bit more to this thing. On full circle from placing a building that's aged beyond its useful life.
Yes, sir.
To adding on to it, save part of the building, to save money to have other projects. Then we get back, the HVAC actually came in lower than I thought it would. And it's not surprising number. How close are we back? Also, the replacing of the building. I'll get into those things, get into the old building.
I'd love to speak on that because I knew that was going to be a question. It's a very reasonable question and one that we looked at this morning when we put these final numbers on full HV replacement together, Mr. Haley. So you've got about 60,000 square feet in that existing building. The new portion of the building is going to be about 49,000. So you're looking at about 109 and 110,000 square foot building. Currently, the pricing that we are putting and we are giving school boards per square foot price is $450 a square foot. And by golly, that's what some new schools are bidding at right now. If you take that 450,000 square feet times that 109,000 square feet of a new school, you're at $49,500,000 for a new school. Right now, based on this renovation and addition project, at that same square footage that I went over, we're at $328 a square foot at this range. So it is a much better fiscal use of your dollars to pursue the project in this manner than to build a new school based on current pricing. And I think that's the answer. That's the question you were asking.
That is what I was asking. I think the only variable that would be in there is that while we're at 60,000 square feet on the old structure,
right?
That if we were doing a new building, we might not need to put 60,000 back to replace it. We might be more efficient use one with an 80 to 85,000 square foot building. Based off Burns is 110.
The opposite side of that is you may end up with a building that might be larger, Mr. Haley, because you might want to do wider hallways than were built back in the day that those hallways were built, in that school. So I think there's 2 ways to look at it, and that's really where your architect team comes in.
The borderline call, it really is.
Yeah, I mean, it could be larger because we actually had that discussion, But for this exercise, we just kind of went apples to apples, square footage. Yeah.
This would need to be done. If we're going to add on, this would need to be done with it.
Yeah.
I agree, Mr. Haley. I think we leave Charlotte and we don't come back for 75 years. Move to other projects and not have to worry about that no more.
Does this bring the outside of the building? Probably a question for the architect team. Does this bring this type of level of work? Does it bring them outside the building aesthetically with the new building? While we have new roof, we have new HVAC, we have new windows. Are we designing in where the outside is going to be melting at a quick point?
Not the entire outside. So if you remember several meetings, for several meetings, we presented different 16 classes, 20 classes, whatever. We're doing a design a new wall in here, right? Sort of help blend in kind of do the old. But as far as trying to revamp the entire exterior of the existing building all the way around,
Sure. That was generally it, what I recall. So, there is a blend to it on the front.
questions?
We've been approving the 34.1 to 35.7. Then we're going to be approving tonight if we were to go. Take this to the county commissioners.
I think what the board had asked that we do was go back to a format similar to this and be able to include some dollar amounts down here. So again, I think with the pleasure of the board, it would be adopting this concept and then putting a rough dollar amount down here at the bottom. That's the format that we've always gone to county commissions with. So making sure that we add the upgrades that Mr. Spencer or the board approves tonight, and then putting a dollar amount on this item for county commission. And again, these are just budgetary numbers to go to county commission with.
Notice that they still had the deductive items on there that we didn't approve. I just wanted to make sure that wasn't a big influence of that quote.
We talked about deleting those, but that's just work that we did to try to show you that there are opportunities to VE. We know that we don't believe the board is going to approve any of those, but we did just leave them on. But they're down there in red because we didn't. I don't think you're going to approve any of those. My understanding.
Mr. Underwood.
Yes.
So as I understand it, Mr. Underwood, it's the 34 to 35 range, which includes all of the re-roofing, the replace the existing
Right,
LED.
that's what I want to make sure that we be presenting the commissioners.
Yes, that's my understanding. And with that, I would make a motion, we approve it.
Approve it. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Chadwick. Any other discussion? Take a roll call vote.
Mr. Vanderbilt,
Yes.
Ms. Brogdon,
Yes.
Mr. Haley,
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick,
Yeah.
Mr. Underwood,
Yes.
Mr. Parker,
Yes.
all ayes.
Board members, panel 2 of that was to work on the CTE space at Creekwood High School. And again, we had talked about the facility for welding and construction at CTE spaces at Creekwood High School. You had directed that we revamp the location of the restroom facilities and kind of redraw and attack where those were located, and both the appearance of those restrooms and kind of having more space and more those fixtures in the restrooms. And then I think we had asked for some guidance. You'd asked for some guidance on behalf of our team again to I guess see which was the most efficient, effective, beneficial site location for that. So, Jamie, are you going to address that, Tim? One of you guys?
I can.
Go ahead, please.
One more time. Sorry. Yeah. Don't pull that up. Hey, you want to go ahead and hand those out?
Kind of just highlight the locations discussed so far, including the previous locations.
Thank you.
Topic is there.
So,
Thank you.
One more, please.
So, Madam Chairman, Hewlett Spencer was asked just as an advisory role on this particular project to advise where we thought this CTE building might be best located on the site. And when we are asked, we're happy to do that. This is not our, so the board is understanding this is not a Hewlett Spencer project. It is a Tim Little and OLG project. But we're happy to meet out there. We work with Tim a lot, and we met out there this week and discussed this and looked at several options, and Tim's going to go through those with you. This is a overall site plan of the school. This is the existing soccer field right here. This is an ag, for lack of a better word, an ag shed. There's animals in there, etc. You can see that this soccer field is lit. And what people don't really realize, I don't think, is that there's a lot more room in this soccer field that is not actually taken up by TSSAA soccer field lines. There's actually some room there. Enough room so that, and you'll see this on the drawing, that you could push that soccer field down and kind of run the lines to the end. Because right here, it drops off fairly well, as everybody kind of knows. Really drops off on this side. But you can move that soccer field down and put it kind of plush as close as you can safely to this line. And you're left with enough space right here where that CTE building could go. Now, outside of looking at that, which was kind of a pretty, obvious choice, we really looked at placing it in this area, which would be closer to the building, less of a walk, in bad weather, those kind of things that you might think about. But this area is inundated with utility lines. And the cost of digging up those utility lines and replacing them or moving them to make this building accessory is really going to be expensive. Not only to take into account the dysfunction of school at that time, because think about what you're going to be doing with classrooms and how you kind of have to shut down that area. It could bring up some fire marshal issues too. So this area, although we looked at as an option, really kind of deleted itself. Whatever you have to do here to move the sprinkler lines that are in this field, and then to come back and redirect these lights that are in the ground, which they can do. They put a laser on the field when you move it over, and they redirect those lights down on a laser, which are the center points of where they play soccer. So those lights can remain in the same place. You just have to hire someone to go up there and redirect them over however far you move that soccer field. So the sprinkler line work and the redirecting those lights is going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars cheaper than getting into moving and replacing those utility lines. So I think we all agreed on that as a team. We even looked here too at putting a building. I think Tim may show that on the drawing. He's got a blue square there. I know how sacred parking is at schools, especially when you have a sporting event. I think that is kind of one of those things where I just don't know that you should take up that parking space, because maybe they don't use it during a regular school day. As soon as you have an event like a football game or something, I'm sure those spots get taken. So it would be Hewlett Spencer's recommendation, I believe the team would be there, to actually put that, the best place would to be to run it right along here. Put that building at 60 by 100, Tim?
60 by 120.
60 by 120. And
5 overall with the shed.
It's the most cost-effective place to put the CTE building.
And Jamie, that is not, none of the work that you've done has actually done any geotech work or anything like that. It's just simply
not at that
from space, right? So before this board proceeds with that, even though we could allocate some dollars to that, if that's the decision's made tonight, we need to include some dollars for a geotech study to make sure it would be best suited at that place.
Very similar to what you did for us, with this board approved a certain amount of money to go ahead with testing at Charlotte Middle School. I'm sure Tim would direct you for that there.
Right.
Questions?
Have you had any conversation with CTE people?
Not at this point, subsequent to where we're at a year and a half ago.
I talked with 2 of them last week, and I know I was a little rough on the bathrooms, and I got a better understanding of what they need, and like Parker said something about a lead-to. They even suggested that, taking up 40 space inside the building, but they gave access from the building, but outside.
There's options can be looked at for that and weighed into as the board programs may desire there. For what we were looking at with Hewlett Spencer and everything, we were looking at the overall concept of it, of the previous building that had been discussed, at least in footprint and concept, and where could it be situated if it could do, also picking up utilities, less impact on utilities and the general fit. What you see there, Jamie is referencing with the soccer field. The image you see red box would just, I'm gonna say a minimum TSSAA soccer field. The blue dash line is a maximum soccer field that's allowable under the National Federation. Mr. Bargatze got more of that.
Federation of High School Athletics.
That one. It's just the two sizes, just to give you a picture of impact of options. So there's anything in between the red and the blue dash is a legal field. And then the lighter blue at the top was just the concept of, okay, if we set this building up here, it gives us some perspective from a 5,000 feet level. We're in the parking lot. That was just the original consideration. So we'll put that there just to have the perspective of that also.
We have underground sprinklers.
Got irrigation out there, I think.
I don't know what day or what time y'all took that picture. Whatever time it was, doesn't look like we have any sporting events going on. But the parking lot is full. So I assume that's just a picture that got taken.
I'm not sure what time the satellite went over.
I'm not either. So we don't have a football game going on. Our parking lot is full. So I would probably move away from the parking lot. Just on our square of our building, what's the dotted line square?
Along the edge of the blue building?
On the edge of the building.
That's the shed canopy portion of it. It's just a covered canopy along one side of it.
Perfect, thank you.
Versus the enclosed part. It just, okay, again, illustrative to help with the concept of it.
Yeah, I think that's only a 4 foot.
Yeah.
Built fence.
That's not unusual. Yeah. Right. Can you give us an idea of cost? I'm not going to hold you to a specific, but some general range would be.
From the last quick discussions we had when they were talking about going to masonry and block with it versus the metal and everything, we were 2.4, 2.5 range.
2.5 to 2.7, I believe, is what I remember.
Yes, sir.
And then I think in our discussions, we talked about going ahead and maybe adding 2 fixtures so we'd have a male set of male restroom,
had a
female, and then maybe we're looking at common hand washing areas outside so that you wouldn't have to go into the actual restroom. So you wash your hands out in the lobby for people who are doing the work
to help support the shops and address the restrooms at the same time.
Right. So minimal impact there.
Yes. Okay. In the scheme of that budget, it's workable.
So
they conveyed those ideas to me the other day. They showed me their shop, their lighting station. They were concerned about the space. They've got 72 welding kids. About space come around for delivery for the metal. From their project. I want to be sure that folks can get in there and get down to that.
That was one thing we talked about. We'd have to get some more detailed surveys and get some WB67 overlays or whatever with that, with some traffic studies. But again, for the 1 week altitude level look at it, this was the concept that we were looking at.
Sure, man, I think. Okay. So with that, as Mr. Parker brought up, I know having gone over there, maybe it's changed. I don't remember it changing, but talking about maybe the ability to have outdoor restrooms being accessible to the soccer field folks come and visit a game and see a game. The building's right there.
If you're putting in plumbing, that would be the will of the board kind of thing.
But I mean, that's feasible. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. That would make a lot of sense to me.
Getting more fixtures. When you've got them fixed already, creating them from nothing, that's where you run into challenges more.
Okay, and I think that's going to lead back into the discussion. You know, if we are going to use this as a permanent soccer field, I would agree that's probably a good idea. considering all the other things that would go along with it. If we do move to the turf athletic field, I can see this being used as a practice field, plenty of room again for a practice field, and maybe keep those on the inside of that building. I think outside there's several problems, maintenance and upkeep and cleaning services and things like that, that if we don't have to have those on the outside, I think we're probably best not to if they're going to be used on a short-term basis.
I have 2 or 3 questions. I think Ron is probably the one for the first question. I understand the differences in the field size, the red and the blue. Which one do the high school use for their games? Do they use? I'm not going to try your letter, but too many of them. Is the red line going to do what they play on high school level, or
Yes.
is that what they can downsize to?
Yes, that the size and quality of that field is going to be far superior to most soccer facilities in the state under the TSSAA.
I think that's what got my attention is that there's 2 different sizes that are pretty. One side, one basketball size. So do they? Can each school choose the size they want to play on? Is that it, or is it an age driven? What makes the size of the field acceptable, or?
There are more high school soccer matches played on football fields in Tennessee than there are on soccer fields, which is much narrower and longer.
Is that the red? Pretty much.
Yeah. No, this will meet all regulations.
The red is regulation. It's just the minimum size it could be.
So they can have different size fields.
It could be anything in between that.
All of them. The blue dotted is the largest that TSSAA will allow,
And
and the red is the smallest.
Correct.
TSSAA.
So right now, what size do they play on? What we need boundary for this? What do they? Do we know they play on the red size now, or they just play with what's there?
Yeah, you're going to have the width on this field without any problem, and you're going to be once it's centered between the proposed building and the end on the bottom of the drawing right there. You're going to have plenty of room on the ends, and you'll have full for run over for a play that terminates on the end zone of the soccer field. So once that's done, making sure the irrigation is adjusted to where it's equidistant, you're going to have more room on the ends than you realize once that happens.
So so we have a turf field at Creekwood, and there's a double conflict. They can still use this for a game if they need to for that building there.
And Doug Reynolds, we've checked with Doug on lighting, and he can adjust the lighting to LED, keep the poles where they are, and then readjust the focus of those.
So, but if there is a double booking, they could use with a building here, they could use a red area for a regulation game if they want. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So basically, going back and doing the work out there that y'all did, I appreciate all y'all going out there. Really gave us more options and solved a lot of issues. So, with that being said, great work. I do like the outside bathroom concept. It is going to be more of a challenge for maintenance and upkeep. They have to do it outside, inside. It's something we can add it on later on. I'm excited, but more things happen in a soccer game. You have softball. It'd be homecoming week. It'd be lots of things that the facility can be used for. The way the building's laid out here, you have the ends that you could easily adjust if you want to. So I like this one. It looks good.
Questions?
I'd just like to make a comment. If we're going to put this field here, still play soccer on this field, we have, in my opinion, we have to have access from the outside for restrooms. Because right now, what we're doing is we're getting some of it done off the school, and at halftime, everybody goes in the school. It comes back out.
So you're going all the way to the other end of the.
Yeah, the school. Yeah.
Well, or the football, the football field, yeah.
Yeah, but,
Yeah.
So
No easy access.
that, yes, that. I think the best to keep that.
What's the plan on the HVAC? Obviously, it's probably not good air conditioned, but don't have to heat the building, right?
So heaters are included, Mr. Little, heating system are.
Ventilation only.
Yeah.
Right.
In the shop environment.
Yeah. So I mean, it's heated and the bathrooms can be heated also, and
Yes.
that would solve your wintertime problems. Yeah. And that heating and ventilation is included in that, everything we talked about, right?
Yeah.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Other discussion?
All of you.
Ms. Brogdon, could I make sure that the price that, again, we're trying to include prices, $2.5 to $2.7 million range would cover what we believe.
Yes.
Take care of that. Yeah. Thank you.
That'd be part of my motion to add that to present to the county commission.
Any other discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Vanderbilt,
Yes?
Ms. Brogdon,
Yes.
Mr. Haley,
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick.
Yeah.
Mr. Underwood,
Yes.
Mr. Parker,
Yes.
all ayes.
Mr. Chairman and board members, I would like to take the discussion and take the motions that have been made tonight, include those and show those to you and get, no, it wouldn't be a meeting, or it would just be a verification of what we've talked about and make sure that that's exactly in those two panels what you feel that we've discovered and reflects the motions and the actions that you've taken this evening, and share that with you. And then if you'll recall, we're on break the next 2 weeks, so make sure that you are comfortable with that before we share that with Mayor Ryle. I know this is public information, but at least we have it in that format to make sure that's what you want to do, so that we can share that prior to our meeting on the 16th with the County Commission. Leaving the other two panels on here as things that this board has talked about but not prioritized as of yet. Make sure that reflects the desires of the board.
It does make.
Mr. Chair, but yeah, certainly, obviously location, certainly obviously size of it, pricing, yeah, that's where we are.
Okay, thank you. And then secondly, also under maintenance, maintenance repairs, facilities, and priorities. Board members, I shared a document with you. Worked on it over the weekend. I think you should have maybe received it Monday night, possibly Tuesday, on some priorities. I've talked to a lot of folks, visited a lot of campuses, talked with principals, talked with athletic directors, spent a lot of time with Mr. Clifton, and spent a lot of time with our finance office to talk about prioritizing this list so that we could also have this in the form that you'd ask that we address this separately from any long-range planning, but these are more, I hate to call them maintenance repairs. Some are maintenance repairs, some are not. But you had asked that I come up with this list and prioritize these and come up with a dollar amount that I would feel comfortable with withdrawing from our fund balance. So this is exclusive of the projects that you just approved. And so I'll read through these. Again, security upgrades would be covered by safety grants, so there's no dollar amount attached to that. We do have a state security grant, and we are in process of spending some of those dollars as we have approved at one of our previous meetings. And there are some other additions to come to that I'll be bringing to you in the next month or so. Upgrades to our sewer system at Van Leer, that is also in progress. We have roughly budgeted $75,000 for that. That needs to be taken care of quickly. Again, we had talked about a sidewalk, which would, once that the traffic light was installed down at Hensley Drive and Cougar Pride Way, installing a sidewalk up near to the lower gates of the campus, Dickson County High School. Again, that is in progress. Exterior painting at Dickson County High School, we have a rough number of $245,000 for that. We will be bidding that this fall. Bids are set to go out tomorrow morning that they'll be in next week's newspaper, and they'll run for 14 days. And then we hope to have those bids ready to open at your October meeting. Roofing the gym at Creekwood High School. Again, you had asked that we bid that in October, so that bid will be coming out, and you see an estimated amount on there. White Bluff Elementary School, there's some soffit that needs repairs, and you see an estimated budget number for that. We'd like to take care of that in the spring. We need to do some work on roofing at both White Bluff and Stuart Burns Elementary Schools. So you see a projected design cost for the roof repairs at those two buildings. To stripe all of our parking lots, we'd like to do that over fall break. And when we talk about all buildings, that's all buildings, all campuses, and everything in between there. Gym windows, painting the exterior of the gym at Dickson County Middle School, Dickson Middle School, sorry. We have some projections on there. I think that number will come under that, but we've projected that. Paving at the Maintenance and Transportation Facility. If you've not been there lately, I would encourage you to stop by. We've upgraded our fuel system at transportation, and we would like to do some grading and paving to keep some water out of our buildings there. So we'd like to grade and pave that. You see an estimate on that. The next item has been taken care of and will be finished over fall break. Athletic field lighting. We have projections at Dickson County High School baseball, Dickson County High School softball, Creekwood baseball, Creekwood softball, at Dickson Middle football field, William James football field, and if you would please add Charlotte Middle School football field. And the Charlotte Middle School football field is the same dollar amounts that's projected on there. Exterior painting at Dickson Middle School, that again will go out to bid, or is currently in the process of being bid right now. Concrete around the football field entrance at William James. Again, I think that's out to bid right now. And then our estimates on turf athletic fields at both Creekwood and Dickson County High School. You see at a very, I think we've been very cautious at looking at what our projected fund balances are. You've asked me multiple times where I would feel comfortable from our fund balance, and so 7913 plus the additional 175 8088. And again, I think the numbers, particularly for the field lighting, are a little high. I have one number that I received yesterday from one of the companies that shared some projected numbers, and those are off of a national buy board contract or some similar cooperative purchasing that way. So those numbers are going to be a little bit high. So I think that number will probably, I want to say, it's probably going to stay under 8 as best I can tell. But again, I feel very comfortable if this board desires to take a budget amendment and take this list to County Commission requesting dollars, except those that have already been spent and except those from security funds, but in the amount of $8,088,000.
On the field lighting, not that I doubt that we definitely need to upgrade. What is the upgrade? Are we moving to LED?
It's LED lighting. New poles were necessary, and it was installation, extended warranty on parts and labor for those. So looking at those,
Do we have any fields that don't have underground lighting, or is everything underground?
Mr. Clifton tells me 2 fields are not. Dickson Middle and William Jackson.
Board would be to spend, 5, I believe on what this building. We want to do that.
I would like to, I'm sorry, you asked the board, not me.
Say that again, Mr. Renner.
Creekwood, the second one from the bottom. How important is that now that we've got the soccer field that's going to be within regulation? Fine with the original soccer field. I know it was pitched to us that if we put the CTE building here, we're going to have to spend this. Because they use. Just a question. I just wanted to bring it before the board and get their opinion.
Mr. Chairman. I kind of look at it like we're doing at Charlotte Middle. We've got a extra gym. Dickson County High School is going to have a turf field. Creekwood deserves a turf field, and it gives us extra area to practice, march. I understand. It's worth every dollar.
I just wanted to ask because
I'm just thinking for me.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask. That's what the board wants. I'm for it, but it's 1.35 million.
I think that when we talk about that turf field, it's more than it adds so much more to the facility, the community, more than just being able to play soccer on it. They'll 100% be able to play soccer on it. I think we're adding so much more to the community on our junior pro leagues, possibly our middle schools. Maybe middle school has a great big game. Maybe we host some kind of big something in Dickson County, and we take one of our and do some big events there without any disruption or any disruption to the maintenance that our current one sport that uses it. I've seen a lot of comments. People talk about we're going to do this to a football field to play 5 games on it. That's not the case. We're definitely going to play them 5 games on it, but a lot of other facilities are going to be able to use that. Communities are going to be able to use it. So I would be for it. Keep it Creekwood also.
I know that we're going to have a little field trip of our own to look at some of these facilities and talk to them about the upkeep. I'm just not comfortable saying this is the way to go without knowing. I feel like we're kind of getting the horse the cart before the horse. I'd like to know what the maintenance is on them, what the upkeep is, what it costs before we go that route.
And if I could address that, Mr. Chairman, I agree, because I'm not ready to say let's go do it today. I'm excited about it. I think the community is excited about it. Our coaches and athletic directors are excited about it. I hope so. But I think it's like everything else on this list. This is a budget. I don't see any difference in this and this. This is a plan. This is a plan. So I think as we approach the county commission and say we'd like to do this, and what we'll be doing is asking for a transfer of those dollars from our fund balance into our general budget. And then let's say it's time to set aside for the $290,000. I'm not asking you to approve each of these projects tonight. I'm saying that we're bringing these projects over, we're bringing the dollars over to do it so that we're not running the county commission 17 times to ask for 17 different amendments, which would take that money. So let's just take the roofing project, the roof design project. If this board wants to proceed with a roofing project at White Bluff and Stuart Burns, I would come to you just as I would anytime and say, we worked with a vendor and I'm bringing you a recommendation for $270,000 to design the roofs for those 2 schools. Let's take one that's already out for bid. The Dickson Middle painting, that's out for bid. That We hope to open that up the first day or two that we're back from fall break. So if that comes in within a reasonable amount, plus or minus a few dollars of this, I'd like to bring that to you at that board meeting and say, we'd like to proceed with painting Dickson Middle School exterior for dollar amount of that. That way it's already in our budget. I'm sorry, the dollars would already be transferred to our budget where you can control that expenditure, approve each of these projects individually.
I agree with you. I agree with you. Yeah, what I'm been hearing is I really need to understand these sort of bills a little better. And I know our visit is after the next county commission meeting. So I'm glad to hear you say that's the way you can proceed. So I think if we're voting for a budget for this direction, I can do that. But to vote to approve the field, either or both until satisfied, I'm hearing both sides of that.
Yeah.
I kind of want to see it myself. And I want to talk both sides. So I also want the county commission to know that by budgeting that money for these type of upgrades, that we use them for those upgrades, or we can go back and say we're using something else. And I think they need to understand that also. So it all started 10 years ago with the high school track unusable. Bounced it around a few times, and the high school in Dickson has been a focal point for updating a 50-year-old facility. And I think in my mind, I felt like that would be a priority. Where Creek would have been a 20-year-old facility. The track was done 5, 6, 7 years ago. And the football police made to redo it one time. That it might have some more longevity. But if these fields are all they seem to be for the multi-use, and that will be good for the community, then and I can see good about them. So I can be sold either way, but I do want to look at what we're being promised to be. Sure. Now it's going to play, but
and I think particularly in that discussion, there's probably some economies of scale by if we are interested in doing two fields. Yeah. So that's my recommendation. So again, I'm not asking that I'm asking that yes, you say this is a reasonable amount to take of our budget, and you'll see a budget amendment down underneath for somewhere. 4E, budget amendment under 4E. So I would ask for a budget amendment under 4E for that amount. But again, just in concept that in general, you're okay with me approaching county commission with this list, again, as a general plan of repairs and upgrades that we'd like to make.
Just for my own knowledge, any item on this that if we move that to our general fund and we, for whatever the reason is, one of these items doesn't happen. So at the end of this fiscal year, the money is just going to roll right back into our fund balance. Is that
back
how that works?
Yes.
Right. So I mean, we're going to ask them to use it. Basically, we got a year to get her done, or it's going to roll back into our fund balance after the end of the year.
Will it be a separate line on the budget where we can see?
I'd put that down. We would either put it into our regular maintenance budget, but we can cost center it out so that you know it's from the transferred money. We talked about it first of going, if you remember back when we were doing major capital projects, we talked about putting into a 177 fund, and we used the 177 fund to cost center everything. However, because 177 is generally a capital outlay fund for new construction, we didn't feel that since some of these are maintenance type items, painting is a maintenance type item, it's not a capital outlay. So we really hated to go through the external fund of a 177. So we really just want to put them in our general fund budget. And again, we cost center them. We can certainly cost center those out if we need to do so that the board has that accountability and can see that accountability. And again, if we bid out a roof for $200,000 and it comes back $500,000, we're going to have to really look, is that really what we want to do with that? Or, talk about maybe cutting one of these other projects out so that we don't. Hope that answers the question.
Yes,
Hey, one more sidebar to that too is just, I think in the past that we approve budgetary things, they just kind of happen. But I think with this, is what we've asked for, what I've asked for, so the county commission's asked for is not to come over there for $500,000 20 times.
Mhm.
And I think we're supplying that. You're supplying me what I asked for are the items under priority. But I'm okay with approving from a budget standpoint with this projection. But when it comes down to individual items, I know we did a lot of co-op bid on some of this. A lot of this stuff right here is things that can be bid out here. Somebody from out of town can bid it, but I think it gives our local people an opportunity. And I'm speaking mainly for lighting and looking.
Mhm.
Got my mind on that. We have some here that does lighting. I like to see them have a chance to bid as much of this as possible and maybe using the co-op bids for the budget, maybe lean away from just going with the co-op automatically because it's easy. They have to bid some of this stuff out.
Sure. Hey, and I would say something like the sidewalk project, I mean, that's already underway.
Sure.
We had budgeted those dollars. It is less than the bid limits and things like that. So, that's going to be done regardless. I mean, it's in progress. So, it's really going back and rebuilding some out of our fund balance to put back in the general fund to use that. I think parking lot striping, I think, is probably already in our budget to take care of. The carpeting. So those numbers that you see that are already less than $25,000 estimated budget. If you see an IP, it's already in progress anyway. And so it's really neutral of this, but again, just to keep that all within that fund balance, that's my recommendation.
Thank you.
Motion to approve the list.
Second.
What's your motion?
Make a motion that we approve to appropriate these funds.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Mr. Chairman, would clarify your motion. We're appropriating them, but generally for these proposed projects.
Yes.
Okay.
Call vote.
Mr. Vanderburg,
Yes.
Ms. Brogdon,
Yes.
Mr. Haley,
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick,
Yeah.
Mr. Underwood,
Yes.
Mr. Parker,
Yes.
all ayes.
Motion carries. Can we take a recess for 5 minutes?
That's
Next item on the agenda is Human Resources Monthly Report.
Board members, on page 31 of your package, you'll see item 3E1 is the Human Resources Report. We would like to acknowledge our two retirees, Cynthia Donaldson, an educational assistant at Dickson County High School with 28 years in the system, and Janice McDonald, a cafeteria monitor at Oakmont with 18 years in the system. You do see some resignations, leaves of absence, hires, transfers, assignments, and reassignments. Thank you, Ms. Hall, for your work in the HR department.
Question? Thank you to the retirees. Next item is Student Services Special Permissions.
Under 3H1, you see from pages 34 to 40 in your packet, and one of those didn't copy very well. We'll just read those. Creekwood High School cheerleading competition in Huntsville, Alabama, October 22nd. Creekwood High School ROTC National Competition, Kentucky, November. Creekwood High School, the competition audiovisual, November 3rd through 6th at Missouri State. Dickson County High School Wrestling Tournament, Huntsville, Alabama, November 10th. Dickson County High School Wrestling Tournament, December 20 to 22. Creekwood High School Basketball Tournament, Gatlinburg, late December. One that didn't copy very well, Creekwood High School Beta Convention at the Opryland Hotel from November 16 to 18 is what that says. If you need any other information from there, I'll be glad to read from the original. I did have 1, 2, 3 additionals come in after your packets went out. From Creekwood High School, the North American Livestock Expo, November 1 through 5 in Louisville, Kentucky. Again, that's Creekwood High School, North American Livestock Expo. That's the Ag Department, Louisville, Kentucky, November 1 through 5. Boxes are checked as appropriate there. Also from Creekwood High School, Washington, D.C., the Jobs for Tennessee Graduates, November 1 through 5, Ms. Orman. Appropriate boxes are checked. And from William James Middle School Cheer, UCA National Competition, February 8 through 13 in Orlando. William James Cheer, February 8 through 13 in Orlando. So the ones that you have in your packet, along with the 3 additions, would recommend approval on those.
Questions?
Move to approve.
A motion to approve. We have a second. A second by Mr. Haley. Any other discussion?
One thing I have a question about is how many days in these athletic events is a child allowed out of school?
Athletic events are, our policy considers those field trips, so we do not have a limit on those.
So if they go play a tournament during school time, they're allowed to do that
Yes,
with all athletics at a high school level.
yes, sir.
Thank you. Doesn't count against their days, right?
Correct. That's an athletic. I'm sorry. That's a field trip.
Okay, thank you.
States go up to do their work. It's
Absolutely.
it's county presidents.
Absolutely. Yes.
I would note the beta conventions same weekend and same location as TSBA's conventions.
We had that 2 years ago, I believe.
That's right.
We need to watch them. They went up watching us instead.
Right.
Vote to approve, please.
Mr. Vanderbilt,
Yes.
Ms. Brockton,
Yes.
Mr. Haley,
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick,
Yes.
Mr. Underwood,
Yes.
Mr. Parker,
Yes.
all ayes.
Next on the agenda under administration, the ESSER 3 plan documents.
Item 4A in your packets, board members, taking from pages 41 to 51, is the district's ESSER 3. If you'll remember, we've had ESSER 1, ESSER 2, so this will be the last round of ESSER funding. ESSER 3 funding, you'll see the budget that Dr. Collins and the system have prepared for that. You'll see the general categories where those dollars should be spent, and you'll see the narratives beginning on page 44 of of how those dollars will be accounted for, what they'll be used for, how we've engaged stakeholders to become a part of that document, or excuse me, part of that plan. Dr. Collins is here if you have specific questions or would like to receive additional information on that. This does require board approval. I believe it requires being posted on our website, and so we would ask for your approval on there, or if you have questions for Dr. Collins, she is here.
Questions?
Collins, thank you for your work on this. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second, Mr. Parker. Questions or discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Vanderwerf,
Yes.
Ms. Brogdon,
Yes.
Mr. Haley,
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick,
Yes.
Mr. Underwood,
Yes.
Mr. Parker,
Yes.
all ayes.
On the agenda is DCHS campus construction project.
Board members, item 4B in your packet is a request from Dickson County High School to provide a large animal facility for the agricultural department. You see the questions on page 52 and 53 that explain the project. You see the appropriate signatures and acknowledgments on there. You see this is going to be funded by the ISM grant. And again, that's that grant for the CTE programming that the governor has sent to us. You see some dates and everything on page 53. On page 54, you see an estimate from the Summertown Metal Building Group, and the price on the next page, $14,082. I think I saw Ms. Webster. Are you prepared to address any questions on that project? Yes. Okay. I have talked with Mr. Holly about the project. I do not have specifics on there, and I think they were tied up tonight and could not be here. You see some sketches on page 56, but those are very rough. And I know the first question that I have is, where's this facility going to be built? And I do not have an answer to that. So if you'd like to have that brought back with someone to explain details and specifics on there, again, I apologize for someone not being present to share more information about that with you.
This, is this in addition to the large animal facility that we bought, that they got 2 years ago?
Yes, sir.
We're out of space there.
Yes, sir. We actually are. Well, I want to go back to an item that Mr. Haley brought. I think it was a conversational item more than it was a motion that Mr. Haley had made. Mr. Haley had talked about as we talked about the possibility of adding turf to the campus here, and then what would we do with the existing soccer space? What would we do with maybe football practice areas, going back to the tennis courts and things like that? So I think Mr. Haley, you just asked informally that maybe we have someone do an overall facility study just specifically on location of buildings. And I think, again, that was part of the conversation of where the buildings should be at.
Yes.
Right, at Creekwood. I think that was part of the discussion of where should we place the CTE building. I did have a conversation. I saw Todd Brang from, if you remember, he's one of the owners at the Lewis Group, and he told me that he would be willing to come and do a master facility plan looking specifically at all the placement of those facilities, both athletically and academically, because this would be an academic project on the campus of Dickson County High. However, he said the earliest he could guarantee they could do that would be in January. So, I don't know. I didn't see a time frame that we're confined to by spending ISM dollars. I know we have 3 years to 2 to 3 more years to spend these dollars. So I don't think time is in essence to get this project there's no financial hurry to do that. And again, without me being certain as to where this is, I don't feel comfortable bringing a recommendation to you. I'd anticipated someone would be here to do that. And again, if it pleases the board, we'll just pull this from the agenda, or unless you choose to approve that without knowing those things. I have a hard time recommending that without knowing more information.
Thank you for those comments. We did mention that it was last month, but I think that needs to be done. I want to know more about where it was. You're going to ask the same questions I did on that. So, yeah, I'd like to put it in the overall plan. But I think if we're going to have the facilities looked at, I think our architect firm has that ability. They've done it for other counties. I've seen some work they've done recently. A large young layout of athletic complexes on the outside of structures. And I think they're doing one in Robertson County. So I would lean more towards having our architect firm do that as opposed to the street, just because Brad and especially Mr. Corley are familiar with our grounds and facilities and history. So I almost did it at the meeting last week. It didn't seem appropriate for the time other than just to plant the idea, but whatever that would be, if they put that on the agenda, I think it needs to be done. I think we see frequently what paid off in that well again if I do it.
So just for clarity, all in the details, at number 13, just to the folks that submitted this, if you look at number 13, it says, do you have a site layout showing where this project will be constructed on campus? It says yes. Over top, I'm assuming they left out of, the cattle working system set up in the rear of the DCHS Ag Barn. There is a general location of where they're talking about. So I know where that is, but
They're building a working facility. What we're doing.
right,
For their cattle.
right. Well, that's
It'll have to be moved to the barn if that's the case.
right to the rear of the barn.
I think they're outside.
Right side. So, and there's your location. That's what we're talking about. So we have a location. But there's not a lot of space there, so I don't think they can
Be option for it.
no. And it makes sense that it would be there. So
40 foot by 72 foot. What size of the building there now? One put in.
Ms. Webster says she did not know.
Can someone explain what an ISM grant is?
Yes, sir. It's part of the innovative school model. Is what it is. It's basically the CTE grant money that we receive for each one of our high schools and middle schools from the governor. It was a $4 million grant that was sent to us from CTE programming.
Okay, thank you. I remember that now. Didn't recognize the acronym. Got so many acronyms go through my head, I can't keep up with all of them.
Hey, if the board is comfortable with that, I guess when we designed this form, in my mind, I'd like to see a diagram of where it's going to be, more like what we saw from Mr. Little on the diagram. But if the board's comfortable with that, I have no problem. If you're comfortable, I'll be comfortable with it.
Back on having the athletic facilities looked at and scaled out, I think it's probably prudent for the board to have somebody to look at these projects all the time. And that we used to have Mr. Corey did that 10, 12 years ago. And I think going back to that day would be very beneficial. I know every group has an interest, and I want to support every interest, but I think we see that pretty good with the buildings around the soccer field. And I think it's what you mean by a master plan. So I'm not looking to hold them up for a master plan for the place, but I would like at least to have, and I lean back towards our architect, Florida has that design experience to say, good idea, but have you thought about this? Maybe position it here for future use. So I think having that person looks from that set of eyes instead of, hey, we got a building fund, let's put it right here, is a whole different perspective for the board to see it. So I like to see it. I have no problem with it as early as next month, but whatever action we have to do, have someone that give it a peek, I feel better. motion to table the next month.
We'd like to have them look at facilities, just general.
Not necessarily all the facilities, but this.
This one. Okay, we'll do that. Thank you.
We'll be down here at some point in time over the next 30 days.
I'll second the motion. And just for clarity, you're deferring to the next meeting. It'll be on the agenda. We're just going to have Mr. Porter take a look at it and see if it's the location.
Tables more in depth than BS next month. So
we're going to take a look at it, put it on the agenda, let them take a look at it. And
We could get Ty here next week, that'd be good too.
Week.
Next meeting.
Next meeting. Yes.
Any other discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Vanderburg,
yes.
Ms. Brogdon,
Yes.
Mr. Haley,
yes.
Mr. Chadwick,
Yes.
Mr. Underwood,
Yes.
Mr. Parker,
Yes.
all ayes.
Next item is 4C, board policy revision, second reading.
Board members, again, I think we shared this list of policies I think before we went to summer law in July. So you've had that list of policies. We do have these in the minutes. So again, without anything pulled specifically, the list of policies that you've seen, and again, those are reflected in the minutes of the individual policy numbers. And again, if you need to, I think Ms. Brodden, you gave us a couple of editorial corrections, just typographical errors. Those have been corrected on the website, and those are ready for second reading.
Questions or discussion?
Reading. Second.
Have a motion to approve the second reading on the board policy revisions. Have a second. Second by Mr. Underwood. Any other questions? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Vanderburg,
Yes.
Ms. Brogdon,
Yes.
Mr. Haley,
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick,
Yeah.
Mr. Underwood,
Yes.
Mr. Parker,
Yes.
all ayes.
Next on the agenda, 4D, remote learning drill days.
Board members, item 4D, Dr. Faulkner has a presentation and information and a request for you on that. Our secondary principals approached Dr. Faulkner requesting to use a remote learning day. And I know the board has had some questions and concerns about the use of those in the past. So I think we have representatives from both of our high schools. Ms. Webster is here for that purpose, as well as I think Dr. Meadows is back there, as well as Mr. Peters. So Dr. Faulkner, give you the floor for you.
Board members, on October 24th will be our senior retake day for ACT. Both of our high schools work out a schedule to run that test very efficiently. But what happens, because of what they have to follow according to ACT guidelines, which are very strict, most of their students who are not juniors end up in combined classrooms. And so they are working on their Chromebooks on that day, but in very crowded areas. So both principals approached me again this year and asked if they could have a virtual day for their underclassmen. And so I know you had some questions in the past, so I asked these administrators to join us tonight. And if you have any questions about what that looks like in their building to make you feel more comfortable about that, they are here to answer those. Again, that would only be at both high schools. It would not impact our elementary or middle schools.
Is only juniors will be attending school that day?
No, sir, only seniors. This is senior retake day. Yes, sir.
So freshmen, sophomores, and juniors will be at home doing a virtual day?
They are also offering, both schools are offering the opportunity for freshmen, sophomores, and juniors to take the PSAT. There are some scholarships that are offered by colleges that really look at that PSAT score. That matters to them. So I think both high schools have just a handful of students. You have 36 and 27 at Creekwood High School.
Again, if the board approves this, the seniors and those students who are participating in the PSAT test would be at school. Other high school students that are not participating in those tests would be at home. All middle school and elementary school students would be normal school days.
I would remind the board that because those students will be at school the day before, internet connection at their homes will not matter because that day they'll download or upload, I'm not sure the correct terminology, that work that they'll do the next day, and they'll have it there so they can work offline.
I think coming into live reading that, I thought it was going to be the mandatory junior testing. So this is a senior retake.
Mm-hmm.
The numbers y'all mentioned, is that the seniors are retaking, or is that the?
No, sir, that's just for the PSAT.
What kind of numbers do you think you're going to have on the seniors that are retaking?
All seniors retake.
All seniors do retake. So
Yes,
it's
sir.
not a slip.
So we have 392.
Okay. I noticed last year did the junior ACT test that was reps in your sign show for that grade to have practice test or something, which was a good use of time and really kind of changed what I thought about that. And since it's just secondary only, then it's that it has a different. Thanks, both of them for it.
Approved.
Second.
Second, screen board. Discussion.
Yeah, I've always been against these, and but the way that you did it this time with the only the three age groups that are going to stay home, and I think what always troubled me a lot, and this goes with me having a kid that would be at home with two working parents, but I think at that age, and I'll be for that this time the way that it's done. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I've got one. Mr. Peters. Yes, sir. I appreciate your service to our county. Let me ask you this. Is this what you would do if you're at Montgomery County? Sorry. I'm just messing with you. I wanted to say thank you for your service.
Thank you.
You've helped our schools a lot and it's been more than fair. And we appreciate you.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Vanderbilt,
Yes.
Ms. Brogdon,
Yes.
Mr. Haley,
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick,
Yeah.
Mr. Underwood,
Yes.
Mr. Parker,
Yes.
all ayes.
Next item on the agenda, 4E, budget amendments for maintenance projects.
Board members, we would ask that you approve the budget amendment. I didn't print it out because, again, we didn't have the exact line items, but Ms. Frazier and I had put some rough numbers together. We would be taking, now I've added the other dollar amounts together, we would be taking $8.088 million from fund balance. So that would be a deduct from fund balance, 8.088 from fund balance. And we transfer that into our general maintenance accounts and capital outlay accounts. And we'll give you some very rough numbers with your understanding. They may be a little flexible, but under design and architectural fees, $588,000. Design and architectural fees, $588,000. Under maintenance, so that would be the paintings, parking lots, and things like that. I'd like to put $2.5 million into maintenance. Good. That could be split out into some contracted services or general maintenance, general upkeep, things like that nature. But basically $2.5 million in maintenance, and then $5 million into capital outlay. So those three categories, that would be a balanced budget amendment. $588,000 into design and architectural fees, $2.5 million into maintenance or contracted services, however those would fall out, and $5 million into capital outlay. And again, those could be flexible as we get those funds and as you approve individual projects on what to do with those. And again, those budget amendments, but but I need to show a balanced budget amendment that we would carry to county commission. And I do believe that adds up to 8.088.
We've already approved of 8.088. Now we're just deciding where to put it in our budget.
That's the budget amendment that we carried so the financial people can make sure they're all happy.
How are we going to track that as a board? That's
Again,
just going to be added in here. The other capital outlay and the rest of it. Or how do we keep that 8.088?
it would go in the summary reports that you see. Yes, sir, it'd be added to capital outlay. But now, if somebody came and said, we'd like to see how much of that was what we originally budgeted versus how much we spent on lighting or we spent on something else, they have a way. It's called cost centering, and so we basically come up with a code. It could be something simple like MP for maintenance projects, or we could code it 2023, knowing that those are specific projects that have come out of here. And so whatever line item that would be, it'd be designated that way.
We're designating that toward these.
Yes. Sure.
Some way to check something.
Yes.
Thank you.
Comments?
Motion to approve.
Second by Mr. Parker. Discussion. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Vanderbilt,
Yes.
Ms. Brockton,
Yes.
Mr. Haley,
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick,
Yeah.
Mr. Underwood,
Yes.
Mr. Parker,
Yes.
all ayes.
Next item is 4F, Director Search Consultant.
You heard a presentation from TSBA on the director search services that they offer. They offered 3 services to the board. Certainly, there are other items, or excuse me, there are other consultants that do the work of a director of school search. On page 6 of the proposal that TSBA brought to us, you see the 3 plans, and I think there was some discussion of maybe a la carting a couple items here and there. So discussion on those plans and the process.
Discussion.
Like plan 2 with picking a couple of things from plan 3, which Corey said was awesome.
What items do you like picking there, Mr. Chadwick? Because I agree with you on one of them. What's the other one?
Personal employee and community meeting. Self-employed board member. Second meeting. Second and third. Plan B.
Third one.
Honestly, I can get along with the third one, the whole thing. I mean, there might be one thing that I would pick out of it if it would, but I mean, I take advantage of every opportunity we got.
I think those 2 items. Everything else, yeah, for the consultant, so I might have to agree with that.
How long would you go with, just if you're gonna go, get do the full plan 3, I mean, and they're gonna help recommend criteria for us. I think there's someone in that business, we're not. No, sir?
Well, I think if you're only doing that conducting person, you're gonna have to have the results, the report that results if you get any benefit from it.
Our group gave the director search on plan 3.
Motion to, then for plan 3, do we have a second?
Like I say,
Any discussion?
Yeah,
Parker?
I might need some help from Mr. Hall to put I don't know what I want to say, so give me a second. Can I put a motion on to add Since we got a quick second on Mr. Haley's motion, I think I can put a motion down to add the additional cost for the superintendent evaluation to that. Is that right, Mr. Hall?
Yes, you can amend the motion to add the evaluation on that. And then
I can't amend his motion. It's not been seconded. But I think I can motion to get a second. I can amend yours. Is that right? So can I do I need to make a motion to amend that motion? And I'll make a motion to amend Mr. Haley's motion to add the superintendent evaluation as we will get it at a discounted price with our director search.
I'll take that.
Discussion, Haley?
Glad you guys have a discussion. So I understand what you're saying, but I think the evaluation service that I was talking to them about is an ongoing service every year, which is a different service than what I think you're talking about. So the ongoing service, I'm not the pricing on it. I'm thinking it was $3,000 maybe a year on there.
Yeah.
But are you asking about the ongoing service, or are you talking about putting the evaluation together for the contract service?
It's the evaluation part of the contract service, which was just on the next page. I guess I wasn't aware that they did, or I guess I was unclear when we were having that discussion that you were talking about a yearly thing.
I think it's a yearly. So the thing I said there was a yearly service that they offer. It's ongoing, so they give you additional cost here for the first year. You're asking just put on the first year and then go from there.
That's right. As I would assume that you're talking about $2,000 a year since
it is too. Right.
And then we'll get it for $1,500 if we add it to the director's search at the same time. Am I reading that right?
Yeah, let me make sure I understand that correctly. So if we use it, if we use it now, we can get it for the discount price, or say because we use them as a superintendent search. Now, later, we can get it for 15. Help me understand.
When I read that to mean that you're getting that first year evaluation for $1,500, otherwise it would be $2,000.
That's the way.
And I think that if we wanted to move forward, surely we, after the first year's evaluation, that I think that we could move forward and say that we want to continue this for $2,000 a year, right?
That's the.
For sure, you know what you like it or not, because you want to continue to the regular card. Yeah. Well, that's always a great service.
Any other questions?
Mr. Parker, it seems like the genesis of this for you is you're wanting to develop a new evaluation for them. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir. I think, and then add, the way that I read this is they're going to take our retreat, if you will, and come up with an evaluation on how this board, our director's retreat goes, and evaluate the director on how the retreat went and how he moved forward, he or she moved forward in that retreat. And I think that's just an important part of an evaluation for a director. And it seems to me that if we do it the first time for the first year, that we save a little money, and if we love it, it's the best thing in the world. We continue to do it. If we hate it, cut ties right after that.
I assume that it is. Maybe I could have asked, should have asked. I didn't. I'm assuming a performance agreement with measurables is the same as an evaluation. So just to different named product.
Did any of y'all sit with that breakout session with me? I think like more there than.
Had to be 2 years ago.
It's been 2 years
Had
ago.
to be.
You had, it was a program. It wasn't, they do an evaluation, check off what you've done. They help you set the guidelines for that. And part of that process is surveying employees, other administrators, kind of like the principals do their evaluations where you survey a step below. But they bring that in up front and say, this is what we're going to evaluate on. They basically do it for you, such as they're doing the search. It's more intense than filling out a form. It keeps it more consistent as opposed to 6 people having to do it on a push agrees. It's a consistent evaluation. The ones I've talked to, the view that the board loved it, and the directors thought it was more fair. So it was a great service. They were having to get this year once.
Yeah.
Okay, the first motion is to accept Plan 30. Am I correct?
You can vote on the amendment.
The amendment
The
first.
amendment as motion of
Mr. Parker.
So are we voting on the amendment right now? A yes vote would be to go with the amendment, which would be the superintendent evaluation the first year. Thank you.
Mr. Vanderford,
Yes.
Ms. Brogdon,
Yes.
Mr. Haley,
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick,
Yes.
Mr. Underwood,
Yes.
Mr. Parker,
Yes.
all ayes.
Now motion to vote on the motion for the Plan 3. Okay. As amended. Call vote.
Mr. Vanderford,
Yes.
Ms. Brogdon,
Yes.
Mr. Haley,
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick,
Yes.
Mr. Underwood,
Yes.
Mr. Parker,
Yes.
all ayes.
Item on the agenda is 4G, interim director of schools. Vanderboard.
I absolutely think we need this. I think it's something that we got to have. We're not going to be able to accomplish this process without it. I'll just say, just for the record, unfortunately, I hate that we're having to go through the process, but this is where we find ourselves. But we need someone, in my mind, that has experience with this system, that's been here, that knows the people and knows the processes that are in place, and I think that's important. Hoping we can come to a consensus on someone that you're not tonight or within a short period of time. So
I want to read the policy that I mentioned at the work session. I think everybody was here, there may be some that weren't, but looking at our policy 5.801, second paragraph halfway down, it says an interim director of schools appointed during the time of the search shall not become a candidate unless the board expressly permits such inclusion in the selection process. So that led me into the comments I made during the work session that I want to see some stability, some good stability for the people that are here, for our teachers, for our students. I think the interim is going to happen, whether you do it now or you do it in November. And I think getting it appointed so we can get on with the search process in a timely manner, keep things on track is important. I did reach out to Dr. Vivian McCord a few days ago to see if she would be even willing to accept that. And that's a retired position that still involved in our school system. She has a lot of experience here. She has a lot of experience with our system for many, many years. She was a candidate for the director search 12 years ago. She applied for it and went through the process and was very impressive to us then. And to me, that's a natural fit for consistency, for knowledge, and for the best interest of our system. She is retired, and with the retirement comes some complications on how many days you can work. The system thought enough about her to hire her back on a contract this year. What it includes, I don't know, but I know that she works in this office on a 120-day contract. And to me, that was a natural move for Peyton. It was also natural to do it where it doesn't drag on to create more complications than it's worth. I think it benefits everyone, and I'm thankful that she agreed to do it. That's a big step for an interim position, especially for a retired person. So with that, I would make a recommendation that we ask Ms. Dr. Peter McCord to be our interim director, contingent on terms agreed upon between our chair, attorney, and Dr. McCord.
Talking about for financial reasons, as far as the chair, the attorney.
Yeah, I think the next motion would be to authorize the board chair to negotiate that. For the record, that interim position works under contract just like a director. You have to have a contract with them. The terms would be agreed upon by the LVP would affect her retirement, so they have to have some discussions on that. But I think appointing that person from board standpoint, open that up is the natural first step.
Those of you that don't know Ms. McCord, Dr. McCord, she was number two, or the number two. I mean, she and Dr. Weeks at the time, and both well qualified. And I think that is absolutely right. That would be an outstanding selection for the system. Everyone here is familiar with her and knows her work ethic and of what she's capable of. So if that's a motion, I would second it.
Motion and a second. Dr. Vivian McCord. Call vote.
Mr. Vanderbilt,
Yes.
Ms. Brogdon,
Yes.
Mr. Haley,
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick,
Yes.
Mr. Underwood,
Yes.
Mr. Parker,
Yes.
all ayes.
Mr. Haley.
Let's offer another motion to authorize our board chair to work with Dr. McCord and our board attorneys to bring together some terms of that interim contract and bring back to us for.
Second that.
Call vote.
Mr. Vanderbilt,
Yes.
Ms. Brogdon,
Yes.
Mr. Haley,
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick,
Yes.
Mr. Underwood,
Yes.
Mr. Parker,
Yes.
all ayes.
The item on the agenda is Director of Schools report.
Board members, under item 5 of your packet, beginning on page 57, you will see items related to the director's activities through 9 of 18. Again, you'll see a lot of that has to do under board relations, the planning sessions, the special sessions that we've had, looking forward to convention planning, working on our fall district meeting. And again, we would thank each of you for your participation in the fall district meeting. Mr. Haley, we would congratulate you for your election to the TSBA Board of Directors. So under board relations, you see those. Community relationships, you see several activities, again, related to indirectly toward athletics, meetings with the mayor, power lunch, homecoming activities, and other associated community relationships. Staff relationships, mid-Cumberland superintendents, DCEA meetings. We would bring your attention to the item at the bottom of that page. We are meeting currently with TriStar Health administrators. There has been an issue with our insurance plan, which has some exclusions for TriStar Health facilities. So that's is going to or potentially might impact the decision that some of our employees would make regarding to health insurance. Top of page 58, you see several activities, both district and statewide educational activities related to normal operations. Business and finance, those are typical monthly activities related to funding, budget monitoring, federal grant monitoring, and you see that carried over on page 59, safety reviews, capital outlaw, fall activities, timelines with Hewlett Spencer, and the other projects that you've seen. Page 60 is a summary of departmental notes from each supervisor and or coordinator, the activities that they've had regarding activities that they participated in during the last month. Coming around to you, I think in early spring, we were going through the budgetary process. I'm sorry, it was probably after the budget adoption. But during pre-budget approval and during budget approval, so late spring, there were several items that had been left out of the budget because these are grants that we had either not received or we had applied for and not sure that we were going to receive. And so I know at one time this board had asked for various grants that were not included in our original budget, but that we either had applied for or had received. So the following dozen or so grants have been received since you adopted a budget. The Literacy Implementation Network helps us to work with our new ELA curriculum. The Innovative Schools Grant, and again, we've talked about that tonight. Math Implementation Grant, again, provides some training to our staff about the new math curriculum. We have received a School Securities Grant, the Homeless System Navigator Grant, the Tennessee All-Core Tutoring Grant, Resilient Communities Grant, Homeless Grant 2.0, and the ARP IDEA is a special education grant. Many of these run through our federal programs. So again, Dr. Collins would have specific information on the majority of those grants, as well as Ms. Adams and or Dr. Faulkner for the ones that apply directly to elementary or secondary. And Mr. Sarles has information on our school security grant. So just an FYI, those are grants that we have received, and those have been incorporated into the appropriate budgets. Coming around to you also. The board had asked for a list of district personnel, district positions, and which of those were existent when I became director of schools, and which of those are now currently existent. And again, change the format a little bit because I think Mr. Chadwick, you had asked for the names of individuals holding those positions. So in the far right-hand column, you see the names of the individuals that hold district-wide positions. Same information, otherwise just different format with the names. Just to update what our students said, we will complete 9 weeks of school tomorrow. That will lead us into fall break. And again, we're excited for all of our staff and students to participate in fall break and enjoy that. We will be serving limited service daycare services to some of our students at some of our schools. And again, those are out there to assist our community. This office will remain open all except one day on a limited staffing during fall break. So again, if you need our staff, we'll be glad to assist you. That information will go out on in-touch messaging tomorrow night. We mentioned that homecoming at Creekwood High School will be the week that we immediately return from fall break. And I think that's all I have for this evening, Mr. Chairman.
Now for Dr. Weeks, if everybody's good with that, I'd like to speak before you move on, though. Motion to amend the agenda. No. Can we amend it and vote on something? No. Before we move on.
And you know, since you've been amended, yeah, you have to.
Say what I gotta do.
Motion to suspend the rules.
Motion to suspend rules.
Discussion, what's the purpose?
I feel like looking at our time frame, our calendar, and what they gave us at the time frame, we got fall break coming up, which is 2 weeks that nobody's going to be able to get together. I think an approval of a search schedule that we can put some kind of date together to give the TSBA to get that ball rolling, and probably add possibly a special session, maybe a work session, because the next thing I see, I don't think we have one for October, and we might need to add something in the third week to keep TSBA search moving.
Porter, I think you're right to the extent we've got to get on it, but why not allow the chair to get in contact with TSBA? We're going to start that coordination. We'll let them try to put together, send out an email to us, here's what they're proposing. I'm not saying you're right, we got to get started, but allowing the chair to coordinate that with him and Torres will allow that process to get started. I think if we try to map out a date or dates other than one day, I think we're gonna, I don't think that's, I think it's gonna take longer than just this hour. I think we need to, you're right, get a date set, but coordinate it with Ben, Mr. Torres, and then proceed to map out the dates once we come together. That's my thought.
My boss agreed with they did, but I was thinking at the same time about looking at the date, but then it came to mind that, and really the fact that we've done this in years, it's going to do a lot. But the chair can call a work session or before the next meeting with sufficient notice, so I think she has that authority to do that. And I suspect that the talking to the storage, it might very well even consider that. So with that information, I think that probably would.
Okay, well, and that's fine too, if y'all think, it was something that hit me after we got off the subject, and I wanted to catch up to it, because looking at there, it says approval search schedule, so we're gonna have to approve that, and I'd hate to lose a month on picking February 1st, or picking March 1st, or picking whatever day we decide to pick, just to pick that day, because we're gonna have to approve that. And I know when it comes to unscheduled planning sessions, it's hard for us 6 people to get together, much less everybody else to grab that. So I didn't want to lose a month off of just picking a certain date. No disrespect to the chair of handling that, but it says it has to be an approved schedule, and that's what Mr. Ben said. First thing is pick a date, and they're going to work backwards. So if we wait till the end, last week of October to pick that date, I feel like we lost 30 days. I don't think TSBA is taking a fall break. I think they'll work through their fall break while we go to the beach and have fun. But and that's just my thoughts on that. And if y'all don't want to move on, I'm okay with that. What the board wants, it's just something that hit me that we should have talked about before. We kind of moved on, so I just wanted to back up a little bit. So whatever y'all are good with, I'm good with. I just want to speak it.
Mr. Chair, well, I guess just to be clear, my thought is to let the chair get in contact with Mr. Torres, let him coordinate a work session date within October, circulate it to all of us, make sure it meets up with all of our schedules as best we can. Then on that date, start talking about, okay, March 13th of 2024, we want to have, start that process.
I agree with my mom. If you can't wait that long, but you got to see what the schedule is going to be. Sit there and go back. It's more than just a date, as much as it is the entire process of the 5-day date.
Do you think that, and I'm asking because I don't know the answer, you think that if we gave the chair a date, that wouldn't get their process going so that they can work backwards?
I think Harley starts at date. I think there will be some dates to back your heart. fast to read the first book. So, okay.
Why are you interrupting the agenda?
We had lead session, didn't we?
So we have a motion and a second.
I'll withdraw my motion.
That's right.
Everything is very efficient tonight.
I think you're being tested. Actually.
Planning session.
Yes, Dr. Weeks.
Board members, while you're talking about planning sessions, I would remind you that we are advertising for a planning session. Our trips, place that on calendars as a planning/study session for October 25th for our visits. You will get that probably on Monday. I'm firming up a couple of those visits with other school administrators where they are. And so that there'll be October 25th. And again, I think we had talked about 11:30 in the morning, probably until 7-ish to get back. So full day planning session on October 25th as a reminder. I will be sending you, I do have a packet of another system that has been start to finish on a turf project. And again, their calendars are in there, the meetings that they had, everything they looked at. And again, I'm not recommending we go with that, just that's more for your information to look at. And you can have that discussion as your own planning session on the 25th of October.
Next on the agenda is DCEA. And
Congratulations on your point. I'm going to share a couple of things that the schools can let you know about. Discovery School every year has an annual food drive along with the Channel 2 news station and the second harvest food day. And they completed that last week and it was a huge success. And then Stirburns had their Lollapalooza. We missed you, Mr. Van Der. I was going to put you on the party animals with us because we wanted to keep on. We dominated 11-2.
Oh, wow.
The kids really had a great time. The parents were out there enjoying all the games. And with your permission, this Friday, I'd like to share some paperwork with you. Let you know what the state of Tennessee is at. Around the 1st of November, the state is planning on signing a grade letter to all the schools, A, B, C, D, E. And everyone in this room, in this community, in this state will be in the same predicament because the school letter grade system leaves much to see. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm going to hit some of the highlights, and I'm going to ask you to help us out with that. It says a school letter grade doesn't reflect the extra hours teachers spend planning engagement methods for their students, nor does it reflect the clean and safe school building, nutritious lunches, or the safe school bus rides. A school letter grade doesn't reflect the relationship between educators and parents, or the partnership between schools and community businesses. And it doesn't reflect the resources provided by our district leaders in the school board to support civic learning. What I would like to ask everybody in this room, not just DCA, but you all to contact our local representatives and state legislator and let them know that good things are happening, but it does not reflect what we're able to do or else.
Comments by board members? Anything, Mr. Parker?
No, not really, but it's been a good meeting and congratulations to our interim. Look forward to working with you. That's it.
That's quiet.
No, I know we've got lots of money going. Timeline is going to be important. It's impossible to talk. All the time we need.
Haley?
I've got a couple of things I'll be putting over. One of them, I'll be a part of this group right here. Watch y'all move tonight. Things that you want, the public won't see, but the challenge and the partly it's the level one achievement from ESBA fall history. If I got that right. And that's an accomplishment. That's shows a lot of work in the first year. Seated with we talked to him on his points, and he's got them. And yeah, but late next year, but chairwoman, it's level 3 Monday night. It's quite the content to put it on their sheet. And probably that will support that. What I really want to say tonight is more to that board that he's worked hard over the past few years, and his chairmanship shouldn't go without being noticed. Tough on him sometimes, and he can be tough on me, but he's a friend, always has been, and as I've always said, I hope he will remain one, but we may debate something, but it's all for good cause, and he's worked hard, and he's been a big asset to the board. I appreciate your service as a chairman. Thank you.
So I appreciate that. I don't think we would be where we are without a lot of us, and I just want to take the opportunity to thank Dr. Weeks. Certainly hope this board is going to do something for him in the future. His service here of a decade plus would go unnoticed. As we sit here tonight, we made major decisions with dollars that we didn't have 2 years ago. Didn't have this type of budget. So I think it's due to a lot of his dedication, a lot of his work, a lot of the staff's work. We're in the position we're in. That comes with good leadership. We on this board have helped to do that, but we've had it from the central office. So I want to take the opportunity to publicly thank Dr. Weeks. That's all we can do for the students.
Thank everyone for the opportunity. Parker, go to the want to congratulate the board, and I want to say thank you to the coaches. I know most of them have left, but they spend a lot of time being good influences in coaching those kids, and it says a lot for them. It is a lot of time, and I want to congratulate the retirees more. And I want to thank Dr. Weeks for continuing to help us and leave us with the documentation and knowledge and stuff we need to move on with some reading. Thank y'all for hanging in there with us. I think we're good.